virtual learners to another lesson of Too Good for Drugs. And today's lesson, we're going to talk about identifying and managing our emotions. Now, in our last lesson, we made good decisions using decision-making model. And we talked about spending and saving. And you all had to spend or save on a certain goal. And a goal was to get a cell phone. And some things that you spend your money on was peer pressure, family, fitting in, and popularity. Now, what we don't know is our emotions can influence our decisions also. So I want you to think of a time when you made a decision based off emotional response. How'd that turn out for you? Usually, it doesn't turn out very well, especially if you're not emotionally self-aware. And being emotionally self-aware is knowing when you're about to go overboard, about to be mad, about to be sad, and you can recognize emotion and deal with it in a healthy way. All right. Now, for our first activity, I want everybody to turn to page 7 in the section titled "The Road Best Traveled." And we're going to read each scenario, and you all have to pick the healthy option for each scenario. All right. So for number 1, it is the person you've been dating for 6 months breaks up with you unexpectedly. You A, tell yourself it's fine, but really you are hurt and confused. B, recognize that you are sad and try to find out what went wrong. Or C, start sharing your sob story with everyone. So you choose the best option, the most healthy option. Number 2, when you're having a bad day, your friends, A, rarely notice because you try to keep your feelings to yourself. B, can usually tell when you are upset. And if somebody asks you if you're okay, you share your feelings. C, you can tell right away because you usually take your bad mood out on them. So choose the best option for scenario number 2. Now number 3, you just got your algebra test back and surprise, you got a B+. Math is your toughest class and you've been studying for 2 weeks. You A, just stuff into your book. It wasn't a big deal to anyone but you, so why talk about it? B, find an appropriate moment to share your joy and your family and friends. Or C, brag about your grades the rest of the day to anyone who would listen. So you all pick the most healthy option for scenario number 3. Now for number 4, your lacrosse team is moments away from becoming state champs. When all of a sudden the other team scores 2 goals and wins the game. You A, hold on to your frustration, walk away and pretend that the loss doesn't bother you at all. B, which is blank, and you all for B will write down your own healthy option for B. And C, yell you are cheaters and throw your lacrosse stick on the ground. So choose the best option for scenario number 4. Now, I want everybody to look on the bottom of page 7 where it says work it out. Now for work it out section, you all are going to write healthy management strategies on why people internalize their emotions and how they can open up more. And for number 2, I want you to write down healthy management strategies for someone who externalizes their emotions, tells people too much of their emotions. And just write down healthy management strategy. It can be writing your journal, it can be finding a trusted friend, anything that's a healthy way to manage your emotions. Now, facial expressions are universal. And what I mean by universal is even if someone speaks a different language than you, you would recognize their facial expression, whether it's angry, mad, or angry, sad, happy, or confused. So I want everybody to look on page 8 where it says, face your feelings. And you all at home will mimic each facial expression and write down which emotion you feel when you put on that facial expression. And that is on page 8, the section titled Face Your Feelings. Now, on page 8, at the bottom of page 8, it says written all over your face. I want you to look at that section. And on this section, it goes into recognizing each someone else's emotions, so you can respond appropriate to them. So we're going to read each scenario, and we're going to find out what that person's going through, the emotion they're going through, and how you respond to each facial expression. So number 1, you desperately want to go to the movies because you heard that your crush is going to be there. You hear your mom's car pull up, and you race down the kitchen and beg for a ride. When she turns around, her face looks like this. And you will look at that facial expression, and you write down how you will respond to that person with that facial expression. Now, for number 2, you want to borrow your friend's tennis racket. You knock on her door, and before you can ask her, she gives you the look and says, "What do you want?" You write down the emotion you see in that person, and you write down how you will respond to that person. Now, empathy is our ability to identify and understand what other people are feeling. And when you develop the ability to recognize how others feel, or you put yourself in someone else's shoes, then you relate to them on a deeper level. Often we overlook a person's emotions because we are too busy thinking about our own needs, or simply cannot recognize the problem they are dealing with. Now, I'm going to read a story, and you might not have been in this exact situation, but you have probably felt these emotions. Now, listen up. It's Tuesday at lunch in the cafeteria. It's pizza day, the best day. You are sitting with your friends talking about last night's TV show. Suddenly, you hear a huge crash. Your friend Roscoe just tripped and spilled his tray over himself. Pizza sauce everywhere, milk is spilled, although no one is crying. In fact, everyone is laughing. They are laughing their heads off, but you start to laugh too. You laugh because you're happy it's not you. But wait, you remember, last year you fell over the chair in the cafeteria and spilled macaroni and cheese all over yourself. It was even in your hair. You begin to remember how horrible that felt. And everyone was laughing at you. You even tried to laugh at yourself, but it didn't work. You wanted to run out and there and hide for the rest of your life. Now, all of a sudden, you stop laughing at Roscoe. And in your mind, you just traded places with him, and you know exactly how he is feeling. Now, how do you feel for Roscoe in this situation? You feel sad. You feel embarrassed for Roscoe because you remember being in a similar situation. Now, if you didn't identify what Roscoe was feeling, you probably continue to laugh. Now, empathy helps you be a better friend, and you can see past the joke, instead help your friend that's in need. Now, how would you put empathy into action for Roscoe? You would walk over to Roscoe, start helping him clean up, and remind him of the fact that you know it's not funny because you've been in a similar situation. Now, when we talk about our feelings and we share our emotions, we become more connected with others. And each time we encounter someone in today's lesson, we are trying to understand what they were feeling. How do we do this? We talked, we asked questions, we read their facial expressions and body language. And would you say we was communicating with each other? Yes. So in our next lesson, which should be lesson 4, we'll explore using effective communication and skills to build stronger relationships.